Hello and welcome to our channel. Are you learning English? Great! Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. Let's get started.
The sun had barely risen over the small town of Riverdale, yet Ion was already awake, staring at the ceiling of his tiny room. His alarm clock had gone off at 5:00 a.m., just like it did every day, but today felt different. For months, Ion had been stuck in a routine wake up, go to his part-time job at the cafe, come back home, and scroll endlessly through social media, watching others succeed while his dreams stayed buried deep inside his mind. He had always wanted to learn English fluently, to travel the world, and inspire people with his words. But every time he tried, fear would whisper, "You're too late. You're not good enough." But today, something changed. As he sat up in bed, his eyes landed on a small sticky note he had written weeks ago. "Wake up and fight, this is your sign to start now, fire," he smiled faintly, remembering how motivated he had felt the day he wrote it, only for that motivation to fade with time. But today, the words hit him harder than ever. "This is it," he muttered to himself. "No more waiting. I have to start now." Ion grabbed his old notebook, the pages filled with half-finished lessons and abandoned vocabulary lists. He flipped through them, feeling a mixture of guilt and hope. Why did I stop? He thought. Why did I let fear control me? But there was no point in dwelling on the past. Today was about fighting back. He opened a new page and wrote in bold letters, "Day 1. My English journey begins." He began by writing simple sentences about his day. "I woke up early today. I want to learn English. I am excited to start." The sentences were basic, but for Ion, it felt like progress. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his friend, Zane. "Zane, bro, are you awake this early?" Ion, "Yes. I'm finally starting something important." Zane, "English." Ion, "Yes. I can't wait any longer." Zane, "That's awesome. I'll join you. Let's motivate each other." Ion grinned. Having someone to share the journey with made everything feel more possible. As the days passed, Ion and Zane met every morning, practicing words, correcting each other's sentences, and even watching English movies with subtitles. It wasn't easy. There were moments of frustration when Ion stumbled over grammar rules or forgot new words, but every day, he reminded himself of the message on his wall, "Wake up and fight." Slowly, Ion began to notice changes. He could introduce himself confidently, ask simple questions, and even understand parts of conversations in English shows that used to confuse him. The fear that once held him back was fading. One evening, after finishing their study session at the cafe, Zane looked at Ion with admiration. "You've come a long way, man. Remember when you were afraid to even start?" Ion chuckled, sipping his coffee. "Yeah, I wasted so much time doubting myself. But you didn't give up," Zane replied. "And that's what matters." Ion nodded, his heart swelling with pride. But just as things were going well, a challenge appeared, one that would test Ion's determination more than ever before. One day, his manager at the cafe approached him with a serious expression. "Ion, we have some foreign tourists visiting next week," she said. "I need someone who can communicate with them in English. Can I count on you?" Ion froze. His heart raced. Speaking to actual native speakers. He had only just begun his journey. Was he ready for this? Doubt crept back into his mind, whispering the same words he had once silenced, "You're not good enough." But then, he thought about everything he had accomplished so far, the early mornings, the late-night practice, the endless encouragement from Zane. He looked at his manager and took a deep breath. "I'll do it," he said, his voice steady. The following days were filled with intense preparation. Ion practiced greetings, common phrases, and polite responses. Zane quizzed him relentlessly, pushing him to be confident in his abilities. The night before the tourists were set to arrive, Ion found himself staring at his sticky note again. "Wake up and fight. This is your sign to start now, fire," he smiled, knowing that this wasn't just about learning English anymore. It was about proving to himself that he could overcome his fears and chase his dreams, no matter how long it took. The day finally arrived. As the tourists walked into the cafe, Ion's heart pounded in his chest. He wiped his sweaty palms on his apron and approached them with a nervous yet determined smile. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" To his surprise, the words flowed naturally, and the tourists responded with friendly smiles. Ion guided them through the menu, answering questions and making small talk. Every sentence felt like a small victory. When the customers left, his manager patted him on the back. "You did great, Ion. I'm proud of you." Ion's eyes sparkled with pride and relief. He had faced his fear, and for the first time in a long while, he felt unstoppable. That night, Ion couldn't sleep. His mind raced with new dreams, bigger dreams. If I can speak with tourists, he thought, maybe I can travel myself one day. Maybe I can study abroad. Maybe I can even give a speech in English someday. The idea both thrilled and terrified him. But deep down, he knew one thing for sure. He had started something he would never abandon again. The next morning, Ion woke up even earlier than usual. The sky was still dark, and the cool air smelled fresh with possibilities. He grabbed his notebook, but this time, instead of just writing sentences, he started journaling in English. Today, I feel excited. I believe I can do more. I want to speak English like a native. I will work hard every day. He didn't worry about mistakes. He just wrote. The act of expressing his feelings in a new language made him feel stronger, braver. Later, when he met Zain at the cafe, he shared his idea. Let's challenge ourselves more, Ion said eagerly. Let's start thinking in English. Zain laughed. Thinking? Man, that's hard. Exactly. That's why it's powerful. If we can think in English, speaking will become natural. Zain agreed, and they made a new plan. Every morning for 30 minutes, they would only speak in English no matter how broken or slow it sounded. The first few days were rough. Sentences came out choppy. There were long, awkward pauses. They often laughed at themselves when they said funny or wrong things. I'm hungry very much, Zain said one morning, making them both burst into laughter. You mean I am very hungry? Ion corrected him, still laughing. But they didn't give up. Slowly, the pauses became shorter, the mistakes fewer. Every day, Ion felt his confidence grow like a fire inside him. He started noticing new words in movies, songs, even street advertisements. English wasn't just a subject anymore, it was becoming part of his life. One weekend, while scrolling through YouTube, Ion found a video titled, How to Become Fluent in English, Tips from a Self-Taught Learner. The speaker in the video was a young man from a small town, just like Ion, who had taught himself English and now lived abroad, working his dream job. The man said something that stuck in Ion's mind. Don't aim for perfect English. Aim for real English. Make it part of your daily life. Ion realized then that he didn't have to be perfect to succeed, he just had to be real. He had to keep fighting, keep moving forward, no matter what. Inspired, Ion created a new routine. Morning, practice thinking and speaking in English. Afternoon, watch an English video and summarize it in a few sentences. Evening, write a small diary entry about his day in English. He even started dreaming about creating his own YouTube channel someday, sharing his English journey to inspire others who felt lost, just like he once did. One day, Zain surprised him with a crazy idea. Bro, why don't we make a short video? Just introducing ourselves in English. Ion's heart raced. The thought of recording himself terrified him. What if people laughed? What if he made mistakes? But then he remembered, wake up and fight. This was his sign. Again, he nodded. Let's do it. They spent the whole afternoon recording. At first, they messed up a lot forgetting words, laughing uncontrollably, but eventually, they got a decent video. Hi, my name is Ion. I am learning English. I love to improve myself every day, Ion said, smiling into the camera. They uploaded the video to a small Instagram page they had created for practice. To their surprise, a few hours later, a comment popped up. You guys are amazing. Keep going. Fire and then another. Inspiring journey. Love from India. Ion's eyes widened with joy. People around the world were cheering for them. At that moment, Ion realized this wasn't just about English anymore. It was about believing in himself. It was about starting, no matter how scared he felt. It was about never giving up, no matter how slow the progress seemed. And above all, it was about fighting for his dreams. But this was still just the beginning. There were bigger challenges waiting. There were harder tests of his courage. There were moments of doubt yet to come. But Ion was ready. He had finally woken up, and he was ready to fight. Weeks turned into months. Ion's English improved steadily, not perfect but real, just as he had promised himself. His confidence grew beyond language. He started dreaming bigger. One evening, while walking home from the cafe, Ion paused at a poster outside a community center. Public speaking contest, open to all English learners. He stared at it, feeling his heart thump loudly. Old fears whispered, you'll embarrass yourself. But his inner voice, the one he had trained through months of hard work, whispered louder, wake up and fight. Without hesitation, he signed up. The day of the contest, Ion stood backstage, trembling. He looked out at the small crowd, took a deep breath, and remembered his first sentence from his notebook, I want to learn English. Now, he was living that dream. When his name was called, Ion walked onto the stage, heart racing but head held high. He smiled and began, Good evening, everyone. My name is Ion. A few months ago, I was too scared to even say a word in English. Today, I am standing here because I chose to fight for my dream. Not perfectly, but bravely. The audience listened, some nodding, some smiling warmly. As he finished his short speech, a wave of applause filled the room. Ion didn't win the contest, but he won something far greater: belief in himself. That night, as he walked home under a sky full of stars, he whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." And it truly was. Because once you wake up and fight for your dreams, there's no turning back. The end. Rocket.